Dennis Connolly, your den at the door for Access Door County, Sevastopol Public Access TV. I'm with Laddie Chapman, and we're here at the Henschel Farm in Sevastopol, outside of Valmy, near the center of lovely Door County Peninsula. And today we're going to be talking about wood and wood production and their wonderful family-run sawmill. Wood, as we know, is one of Door County's most valuable renewable resources. It is and has been made into lumber for structures, furniture, even bowls and utensils. It's used, byproducts are used to tan leather. Posts are used for fencing material. And on it goes. Actually, Door County's first predominance came into existence because of the incredible need for wood and the ever-hungry cities in the south of Lake Michigan and beyond. As they started to build their structures after the Great Chicago Fire, the great white pine forests of Door County were utilized and made into dimensional lumber for the remanufacturing of these homes in the ever-growing area. Our tamarack was used for curing leather. Cedar was used as a preservative type of lumber. And our great maples were used for furniture and also structural material. At the same time, the many ports of Door County gained prominence as they shipped both the raw material and dimensional lumber from places like Jacksonport, Egg Harbor, and even Newport area. So we're here on the Henschel farm. We're looking at an incredible stack of renewable resource, wood. I believe most of it is from the forests that are on their farm. And we're going to be seeing Jamie and Mike Henschel be processing this wood for the use in our houses and our fences and our decks and furniture.
Down at Lily Bay, and Norbert was getting up in age, and he says, Roger, someday you got to get your own mill. He said, I ain't going to keep sawing too much longer. So Norbert helped us build our first sawmill back in '86, and Memorial Day of '86 we started sawing our own lumber just for ourselves, and then pretty soon neighbors would ask if we'd saw their logs, or people from town would stop out wondering if we'd have some 2x4s or lumber, and it just been growing. 25 years now, we're sawing over 200,000 board feet. And Dad passed away in 2002, so then Jamie took over running the sawmill, and she's the only lady sawyer that we know of in the 4 surrounding states that runs a circle sawmill. So
and still gets along with you and doesn't chew tobacco.
Nope.
Marvelous. So actually, what I'm reading here is there's a great legacy of production of lumber from all of our forest products here in Door County, and that torch was basically passed to you two from Norbert.
That's correct.
Yes. How did he happened to entrust you with the skills and some of the equipment just based on good family relationship?
Basically that, but it's more or less just watching him, seeing how he ran the equipment, and that's how Roger mainly picked it up, and then I learned from him. So it's pretty much hands-on experience.
Marvelous. Compared to all the other activities that you do, where does being a female sawyer or sawyeress fit in the joyful part of your life?
Pretty much daily activity is what happens here. The farming comes first because it's up and foremost with the crops and with the cattle. But in between time, we do find the time to get our lumber orders in as needed. So,
Mike, you mentioned the amount of production that you do here, where do you harvest most of the raw material?
We try staying local. We had a few local people that bring in cedar and stuff if they get in their cedar swamps over the winter when it freezes, but majority of it is northern Wisconsin, right on the Wisconsin-Michigan border. We got, about 5-6 different loggers that Jamie deals with. So usually in January she starts calling them and putting in orders of what we need for lengths and size and species of logs, and usually by end of February, March, and April is usually when most of our logs come in.
So that's a network that you've established over the years through different contacts, and only some of the lumber is harvested from your land specifically.
That's right. Up in this area, there ain't a lot of white pine that you can find, so most of that comes out of northern Wisconsin. So over the years, you just, from one trucker to the next, word of mouth, they know you're looking for this stuff, and whoever brings it in the fastest, we purchase from them.
So what is the average volume or weight of a truck coming from your supply area?
Usually, depending on what they're hauling, about 5,000 feet of lumber on a semi-load.
Amazing. It's hard for us city folk to fathom that. And so the white pine, of course, which was a prevalent species here in Dora County and was almost clear-cut at one time to help supply the lumber needs of the cities to the south, is not so available in Dora County anymore. It's here, but it's not being logged out.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yes. So what other species of wood besides the white pine are you attentive to?
We have all the species, but our main ones is the white cedar, of course, because it's local, white ash for a hardwood, but then we also, besides the white pine, do birch, maple, oak, black walnut, cherry. Pretty much all the species of wood. We have smaller volumes on hand because those don't move as fast as what the cedar and pine would.
So is the hardwood you're speaking of being used for finishing inside of houses, trim, or furniture? What's it predominantly used for in your experience?
Mainly for interior work, trim, like you say, or furniture, but a lot of exterior also, either bale wagons, cat trailers, side racks for dump trucks. It's it's the cheapest exterior wood out there that's a hardwood, and it's doable that way.
I see.
White ash.
The white ash is.
Yeah.
White ash. And so exposed to outside environment, your white ash, which we're sitting on right now, a beautiful wood, and feels good on the bottom as well. One could expect it to hold up in an unfinished way for a long time.
It will. What is the years?
Probably 10, 15 years you'd get out of a trailer top made out of white ash,
But most people do put a preservative on, whether it's linseed oil or, any other type product that's available out there, just to help preserve it, because in the sun it will dry crack.
Yeah.
So like anything else, like your skin on yourself, you put lotion on, so.
Yeah. And then they're back to see the Henschels again in 10 or 15 years and get redecked.
And we hope so.
Super, super. So tell us a little bit about the specifics of the mill, and then maybe we can go see some aspects of it.
Well, it's a Meadows sawmill. It's fully hydraulic. It's electronics over hydraulic circle sawmill with 48-inch insert tooth blades. I don't know what else to tell you about it, but...
Okay. And being hydraulic, it's a little easier to work with than the threshery blade. Is that
When
correct?
we first received this mill, it was a wood frame that came out. Where did we find this one?
I can't even tell
But
you
it
where
was
we
all
got
wood
that.
frame. We converted it to steel. And that first set works was all pull type, where you had to pull and read the numbers. And then over the years, we upgraded to get the hydraulics for, especially when Mike's dad was running it. It was just a little easier. If you're pulling all day, your arm gets sore.
So I'm guessing there's really very little need for us to look for either of you over at the YMCA.
No.
This is our YMCA.
Yeah. We're going to discuss some of the various products. You certainly turn out dimensional lumber, a lot of white pine, a lot of white cedar for decking, and you also turn out certain lumber for interior use and farming. Can you elaborate on all the products that you do produce here?
We do all, with the need of lumber, everybody had a need for the way they wanted it finished. And not everybody's going to have a planer in their shed. So we ended up purchasing a kill dryer, putting a kill dry together, and having the supply of kill dried lumber available for customers. And then we started planing lumber also, whether it was tongue and groove, shiplap, or four-sided planing.
Even with other mills cutting it, you did some of the planing and the finishing, or the fine tuning of it.
Yeah, some have their small bandsaw mills, and they'll bring lumber in here, and we'll kill dry it for them, and then I'll shoot it through the planer and make it into hardwood flooring or tongue and groove paneling for their homes. So, yeah, we do custom planing.
Wonderful services you're providing here. Now, there's obviously, when you're cutting logs up, there's going to be a lot of end products. There's going to be sawdust, there's going to be end cuts, there's going to be bark, and of course in the old days of the mills in Sturgeon Bay and in our port cities, port towns here, the streets were paved with sawdust and byproducts. Where does it all go here on your farm and mill?
Well, all our cedar slabs, like behind us, we keep all our cedar separate, and that gets made into landscaping mulch. We make about 700 yards a year of landscaping mulch. We have a tub grinder from Michigan, comes in twice a year, spring and fall, and grinds up all our cedar slabs.
And that lasts a long time for mulch.
Yep, and then all our pine and hardwood goes over to the side of us here, and that goes for up by Politiers, fish boil wood. We supply them with all their slab wood for doing their fish boils. And then for maple syrup in the spring, we need about 20 cord. We load up our hay wagons starting any nice day here. We'll start loading up the wagons with slabs, and then they get backed in the shed over the winter. And then when maple syrup starts in the spring, we just pull the wagons alongside the sap house, and we take the wood off to fire the evaporator. And then the neighbors, Ed and Kenny Stotts, make maple syrup, and they come and get a few loads of slabs for their maple syrup cookers. So everything's used up. All the chopper boxes, we have a waiting list of farmers bring chopper boxes over for all the sawdust for bedding cows or horses. So yeah, nothing's wasted, just humming a saw blade.
And you hardly even took a breath in describing all the activities and byproducts that go on in wood, and you actually projected that, oh my gosh, we just do this and we just do that. But any of us who have even used a chainsaw to cut a tree down know all the steps and work and skill that it takes. So we really give you a lot of praise and credit for that.
It is amazing how much a board gets handled before it's actually in its finished place. But it's a lot of steps, but it's a fun way of life. So.
That's right. Wow. And you're fine examples of that.
This is a jockey sharpener. Usually every morning or every other day we sharpen. It only takes 5 minutes. I got all 44 teeth. It's a 48-inch blade. There's 44 teeth in there. And these are chrome teeth, so they hold up pretty good depending on what species we're sawing. So yeah, just clamp it on and we're on the blade.
So does this do one tooth at a time?
Tooth at a time.
Sort of the way our dentist wants us to brush?
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of counter-abrasive is in the sharpener? In other words, what kind of wheel, what's a composite?
It's just a grinding stone. This is a special stone. We used to run pink ones on mild steel. This is a little harder abrasive because with the chrome teeth, they're a lot harder tooth. So, yeah.
So at what point would you consider removing the tooth, and how difficult? You don't have to do it, but how difficult is it?
They're about a 1/4 inch of tooth you got here, and as you sharpen, it'll get back to the heel here. And once it gets to the narrow part here, that'll mean the tooth is narrower than what the blade is, and the blade will start pinching on you. So we got a tool right up here. It's the tooth wrench, and a pin pops in here. And you just hook it on, and the pin goes through, and it just pulls the tooth right out. And then we just stick in new teeth.
Oral surgeons could learn from that practice.
Yep, real easy. But this here's tension. It's called a, I can't think.
Like a spring device?
It's got tension on, so when you pry it in, it holds the tooth good and tight into the hole.
Very clever. Are your teeth, do they come from the United States, Germany?
Pacific Hole, I think they're from the United States. I don't know what's on the box, so I think they're
It's kind of interesting. I mean, there can't be a huge demand. I mean, there's got to be just limited number of mills around in the United States and so forth.
Yeah, there's quite a few circle saw mills around. I know the guy up in Menominee, Michigan that pounds out our blades, Glenn McCarty from State Line Saw Supply. He goes to the 4 surrounding states and down to Kansas and stuff. He's got a few places where he picks up blades and hammers them because it's a dying art, as there ain't that many people know how to pound a blade.
So by pounding a blade, what does that mean specifically?
Well, the blade is being circle, it spins in a circle, and all your tension spinning goes from the hub, works its way out to the outer teeth. So the center of your hub starts getting weak, and then the blade will start wobbling. And if you run it too long, it'll wobble. It can actually bust and come flying right off the mill. So
Nobody wants to be around.
No, be very dangerous. So we take it up to Glenn's in Michigan. He lays it on a big anvil, and he's got different style hammers, and you can hit it. You can see some of the hammer marks where he'll start on the outside here pounding, and he works the tension back down to the hub again.
Does he have to anneal or heat it while he's doing it?
No, you can't heat it because that moves the tension in that.
What a great art and skill.
It is. It's something you can't learn reading a book. You got to learn by doing, and there ain't many guys around that know how to do it.
We're here at the business, the production part of this incredible family sawmill, and we're going to just discuss how the power comes to the blade, and then a little later we'll talk with Jamie on, once you have power to the blade, how the production of lumber occurs. So tell us first, this is obviously a big old beautiful green engine, and that's about what I know. So tell us about the engine and how the power is transferred.
Okay, back in '86 when we built the first sawmill here, the Huskin, this is all original. We just had the PTO shaft, and we just backed a tractor, one of our farm tractors, up to the mill here, and we'd run it. And then back in '97, when we switched, we put a Meadows mill in the early '90s, and then in '97 we went to the hydraulic system on the mill. So then we used the same tractor, and we just plugged the hydraulic hoses here into the back of the tractor, so we had hydraulics. Well, production started growing more and more here at the mill, and every time we needed the tractor to do some of the farm work, we had to run down to the sawmill, unhook it from the mill, and take the tractor. And if we had to saw logs, we had to quick run the tractor back down to the mill. So back in 2005, we put this John Deere power unit in, and the tractor we had running it was 86 horsepower. And when we'd get into the big pines or the big hardwoods, we were lacking a little horsepower. So the John Deere motor here is kicking out 175 horsepower, and it's just the engine. It's runs the saw blade at 540 RPMs, and it goes through this gear reduction here off the engine to slow it down from 1800.
Is that gas or diesel?
This is diesel, diesel engine. And it slows it, the engine runs at 1800 RPMs, but with the gearbox here, it slows it down to 540, and that's what the saw blade
So you have more torque.
Yeah, a lot more torque.
Yeah. So it goes through the gear reduction, through the drive shaft on power takeoff, and this wheel.
This great big pulley runs our blower. That sucks the sawdust away from the saw blade and blows it through a 6-inch plastic pipe into the chopper boxes.
Very good, very good. So do you have to wear any aspiration or air filtration equipment while
Not
you're
really,
doing it?
with the mill being open to the south.
Sure.
If it's real dusty, if she's on dry cedar or something, we open the back door here on
Perfect.
the mill, and we get a pretty good cross.
Great solution.
Yeah.
And what other maintenance aspects besides sharpening the blade, obviously greasing some fittings, keeping the engine in good nick, what other maintenance aspects are required for the operation of your mill?
Well, you got the main bearings. Them are greased every 10 hours. The cable that runs the carriage back and forth, that wears out every couple of years. We got to put a new cable on because going around the pulleys and stuff that many times a day, it finally gets frayed and the cable breaks. But yeah, as long as you keep it oiled up. I mean, we haven't did much to it. We put new axles underneath it. The wheels were wearing out from going back and forth steel on steel. The wheels were getting very thin, so I think 3 years ago we put all new wheels under the carriage.
Excellent. And all those parts are adapted from other machines, or they're available to
They're available. Metal Mills is still made out in Oregon. So if we need parts, we just call out there and they UPS parts up. Or I got a friend of mine that's a real good machinist, so he makes like this safety shield that's over here. He made that all up. And
Good to have a friend like that.
Yeah, if something breaks on the mill, he's very good at welding or fixing metal things.
And we're here with Jamie Henschel now, and she's going to describe for us the actual operation of how we would take a log, and in this case a cedar log, and the process in which it goes onto their carriages and through the mill, and what exactly she does before we demonstrate some.
Once the logs are on the ramps, this is the ramp set in front of us. Depending on the size of the log we're doing, we can either do 8-foot normally or up to 16-foot material. And depending on the size of the log, most of it's all just hand rolled onto the carriage, onto the head blocks, where I have controls here to lock the log in. There's 2 headlocks on depending on the height of the log, and deciding what we're sawing at that time or what need we have. It's just basically getting the slab off, getting it down to the meat of the wood, you might say, and always allowing a 1/4-inch curve for the blade.
So I noticed that the debarking process that you were doing was by brute force. Does the and some mills, do they have a machine to debark, or is it just part of the milling process?
A lot of the bigger mills got debarkers, mainly just for the longevity of the sharpness of the blade. Here it's easier if you saw the logs fresher. As they dry out, the bark has the tendency, of course, to fall off, and then it'll get caught in our blower. So it's nice that they're fresh or wet.
So hence, my logic would say you should have dry lumber, but what you're telling me in this operation, having the wet or fresh cedar lumber is a much more practical approach to decrease problems on the production.
Right. It makes my day go a lot easier.
Well, we want that. I mean, not that your day is easy at all, but a little easier would be fine.
And then once the logs are on, we got set works here. It's all, like I say, electric over hydraulic. One set of buttons will bring my kick-out knees out. If the log's tapered, with a hit of a button, we can move that log out to wherever I feel need that it has to be at. And my other set of buttons brings the log forward or reverse. And then there's 5 set works. They range from different increments from 1 inch up to 2 inch and everything in between. So
Wow.
you just gotta put your eyesight on it and get it to where it needs to be.
Most impressive, most impressive. Are your children taking up the skills of this mill at this point yet?
Whether they like it or not, at this time they do help out.
Good.
Right now it's at off-bearing, but 2 of the older ones, I already had them saw some logs just to get the feel for it. Once you get your set of numbers in your head, it's not all that difficult. But you just got to feel comfortable with it and trust it.
this is another beautiful machine. I see some lovely old steel and iron parts with gradients on it, and castings and rollers and rails, and a beautifully arranged machine on the other side. Can you tell us what this machine is and what it does?
This is an edger. It's a 3-blade edger. One blade is stationary, and these 2 levers here moves the other 2 blades for whatever width board you think you can get over the board. Like this cedar that Jamie just cut, I'd get a 6-inch board out of here. So now we run through that machine, it cuts the bark off the 2 sides, and you get a nice clean 1x6 board out of it.
So your adjustments below that we're looking at with the gradations of number help you to adjust how it will edge in on the sides.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep, every edge board is a different width. Now the next one I'll be only getting a 4-inch board out of that, so every board you run through, you pretty much move the lever for whatever width boards. 4, 6,
how old
8.
is this part of the machine we're looking at, Mike?
It's hard to say. We picked it up down in Casco, Wisconsin. It was sitting out in the woods. A friend of ours knew it was sitting down there, and it was all rusted up. Took about a gallon of liquid wrench and a lot of nights with emery cloth in the shop at home, and got it all cleaned up. We used to do all the edging on the mill. We'd stack a whole pile of boards on the mill and then cut it through. It was a lot more time consuming, and we wasted a lot of wood. Instead of running one board at a time through, you'd make 8-inch, probably all 6-inch. Now at least with the edger it's faster, and we're getting a lot more lumber out of,
and to
out
a
of a board.
person who appreciates industrial art, just that those castings they're very attractive. So is this powered by electric?
Electric motors on here,
And then it's mechanical adjustment?
Yeah, mechanical adjustment. Electric motor runs the power. Probably back when, I'm saying the early 1900s. This was built probably in the 30s or 40s, because with all the Bavet bearings on, there's no roller bearings on this one. It's all Bavet. So, but it's all made out of cast iron. It's heavy. I mean, the main saw part gave our loader tractor all it wanted to do to set it in there.
Beautiful piece. Okay, could you demonstrate how this operates, please?
Sure. I'll run one through. This here's a Yates American planer. When we started up the mill, we were just sawing rough lumber, but then there ain't a mill around that saws each board exactly the same. You get timber bound in the board, so one end of the board might be a 1/4 inch difference, in the other end, just depending on the tension in the log. So then we ended up getting a planer, and this we found up in Lampert's up in Sister Bay. They had to eliminate all their power equipment because of insurance, so we picked up this planer. And this is a 4x12 or 6x12 planer, meaning we can run a 6x12 beam through it and plane all 4 sides in one pass. 1x8, and we tip the rollers and cut it diagonally, so then you make lap siding like it's on the outside of the building here. So this is just our test patterns here, but that's the way the lap siding is. Tongue and groove paneling that we do for homes. We do an awful lot of this every year between cedar, pine, and white ash.
So tell us about the operation and why you kiln dry, and where you store it after you dry it.
Okay, when we put the kiln dry in, this is a giant walk-in cooler, like you said. We got from Levine's Ice Thing in Sturgeon Bay here. Tom Levine and my dad were real good friends. And Tom says, Roger, I got just the ideal thing to make your kiln dry out of. So we bought the units inside for drying it, and Tom came out and helped us put this up. We put all in-floor heat in the floor for in the winter months. It keeps it about 65 degrees in there, and then the electric units will kick in, bring it up to 80, and then the drying compressors will kick in once it hits 80 degrees, and then it starts drying the wood down.
Okay, so the airflow and the heat together, and having heat in the floor, you mean you have tubes or electric
It's
coils?
hot water heat through the floor.
Terrific.
So.
And so did you have to do anything else to prepare this big walk-in ice cooler to turn it into a kiln dryer?
Not really. Made the door a little higher so we can get more material through it. Had a shorter door for people just to walk through, but now we made it, I think, a 8.5 foot high door. And the kiln is 10 feet wide, 10 feet high, and 32 feet long, and we hold about 5,000 board feet of lumber we dry at a batch.
Throwing these big numbers around, Mike, you just do it so comfortably. So I'm sure it depends on the species and when you cut the wood, but typically for your flooring, for the lumber that you're going to be milling further, how long does is the adventure in the dryer?
We try keeping the species of wood separate, softwood, hardwood. When we're doing softwood, we like to air dry all our lumber at least a month before we throw it in the kiln. You get less warping and cracking of the lumber, but most softwood we do in 10 to 14 days. We can kick a batch out. Hardwood, I could do it in the same amount of time, but you'd wreck the quality of the wood, so we got to slow the compressors down, and the temperature, we only run about 105 to 110 degrees when we're doing hardwood. Softwood, we keep it about 120 degrees. And that takes probably 15 to 30 days, depending on the moisture content of the wood when we do hardwood, or 20 to 30 days.
So do you have a hydrometer or just visual touch and view?
We got a regular moisture tester. It's hooked into the lumber pile. As it's drying, the little building off to the side here, we call it our idiot room, where all the controls are, and watches the temperature and humidity in the kiln, and also you hit a button and it'll give you a digital readout back of what the wood is dried down to.
You're smart idiot.
Yeah.
Smart idiot. Terrific. Would you show us inside?
Sure. When we first built the kiln, the first few years, we carried every board in by hand and stickered it. Every 18 inches, there's a 48-inch lat goes through the pile to keep the boards from cupping and twisting. And then we finally got smart and we built up a track system. We just slide this up to the track in here. And these are all on rollers now. Each panel, the first section here is a 12-foot panel, and we just hook on with the skid steer with a rope, and we just pull it straight out. This is cedar right here and some pine on top. We got a little maple mixed in the middle, but that was air dried for a year and a half, so it didn't matter to mix it in with the softwood because the moisture content was about the same. But you can see on the side there, them are the dehumidifiers, and it sucks in the moist air through the bottom through the filter, and then the fan on top blows the heat up to the fans along the top of the ceiling. There's four 16-inch fans along the ceiling that just keep circulating the air through the lumber piles, and then it dries it down. Each unit sucks out 5 gallons of water a day while it's running. That's how much moisture is in the wood.
Amazing, amazing. So I see the electric company's got their meter readers living in your idiot room over here because there's no end to the power needs.
Building alone is about $350 a month just to keep it running. These boxes here are hooked up to each one of the compressors in there. It's giving you how many minutes are left on the compressor and what the temperature is in the room. With the door open right now, the temperature dropped. Otherwise, that should be around 112 right now because this batch is almost done. And then these wires here are hooked into the lumber pile in the kiln. I got it unhooked because yesterday I was in here manually hand checking, where we pound these probes into the wood, and then you hit the button here with the raindrop, tells you your moisture. So then it'll give you a readout. Right now it ain't hooked in the wood, it's reading 6% moisture just in the room here.
And we're here, and we had a wonderful day with Henschel's, Jamie and Mike, here at their sawmill on their very expansive, hard-working family farm. We've seen the milling of lumber, the finishing and edging of lumber, and all the heating and the kiln drying of the lumber, and many descriptions of the practices that you do here. It's certainly been a joy for all of us to learn about your operations here and how we take the initial forest product and turn it into useful lumber for all of us to use, or those skilled enough to use it. And you certainly provide a wonderful service for the people of Door County and beyond, and you give it your particular Henschel joyful personality at the same time. So any other advice for us besides when we need lumber, come and see the Henschels?
Stop by if you want good conversation.
Indeed.
Yeah, if you got any questions on lumber or tree or something, we can explain to you what we found. We don't know a lot, but after 25 years of doing it, you learn different things. Carpenters from around the county told us what to do and not to do, so we try passing all that information on to our customers if they ask.
Very humble wisdom. So this is your Den at the Door, Dennis Connolly with Laddie Chapman and the Henschels here on a beautiful day at the end of September. The sky is blue and we are happy to be here. Thank you.